You talk too much. That's not an insult. It's a warning. Every time you share your next move, your goals, your ideas, you're bleeding power. Not because you're wrong to be excited, but because you're giving your enemies the blueprint, and your friends the leverage. We've been told that sharing is strength, that openness is virtue. But what if that's a lie? What if the people clapping the loudest are just waiting for you to slip? In this video we're going to destroy the myth of oversharing. Through the ruthless clarity of Machiavelli, you'll discover why silence is not weakness, it's warfare. You'll learn how to move like a shadow, win like a strategist, and finally stop handing out your power disguised as honesty. By the end of this, you won't just understand how silence works, you'll feel it. And you'll never overshare again. It feels good to talk, doesn't it? We live in a time when sharing every step of the journey is not just encouraged, it's expected. Whether it's announcing your new project, venting about your boss, or posting your next big move, there's this false sense of connection that oversharing gives us. It makes us feel seen, supported, even validated. But here's the trap. While you think you're building bridges, you may actually be burning down your castle's defenses. Most people don't realize that information is leverage, and when you give yours away for free, you're handing out the blueprint of your strategy to anyone listening. Now think about this. Have you ever shared an exciting idea with someone only to feel your own enthusiasm vanish right after? That's not just a mood shift. It's psychological deflation. Your brain tricks you into feeling like you've already achieved something just by talking about it. But Machiavelli would say, plans are like power, once spoken they lose their mystery. Every time you reveal your goals, you're exposing your weaknesses, your timeline, your emotional investment. And trust me, not everyone hears your dreams with goodwill. This isn't about becoming paranoid, it's about becoming aware. The world is full of listeners, but not all of them are allies. Oversharing turns strategy into noise. It invites opinions, criticism, sabotage, or worse, imitation. If you're trying to win, the last thing you want is an audience before the performance is over. And if this idea feels uncomfortable, good. That discomfort means there's power waiting to be reclaimed. So the real question is, what would happen if you didn't share? Niccolò Machiavelli wasn't interested in being liked, he was interested in results. And if there's one thing he made clear in The Prince, it's this. The wise leader reveals nothing until it serves his advantage. Silence to Machiavelli wasn't just the absence of speech, it was a calculated weapon. He understood that in politics, in power, and in human relationships, saying less often meant controlling more. The more you speak, the more you expose. The more you expose, the easier it is for others to predict, manipulate, or destroy your intentions. Imagine a chessboard. The pieces that move with the most noise are often sacrificed first. Machiavelli believed in being the player, not the piece. He advised rulers to appear transparent, even naive, while secretly calculating every move. Sound familiar? Because in today's world, the ones who talk the loudest rarely hold real power. They hold attention, yes. But attention is fleeting. Control is permanent. And control is built in silence, with deliberate actions and carefully chosen words. You don't need to be a prince to apply this. In fact, Machiavelli's principles are even more relevant today, when oversharing is disguised as authenticity. Silence doesn't make you cold. It makes you unreadable, and that's terrifying to those who wish to control you. Start paying attention. The people who get what they want aren't always the loudest in the room. They're often the ones who wait, listen, and strike when no one sees it coming. And guess what? That kind of strategy isn't just old school. It's timeless. So now the real intrigue begins. What does transparency actually cost you? We've been sold the idea that transparency is a virtue, that sharing everything builds trust. But here's a reality check. In a world where competition is fierce and attention is currency, radical transparency can be a trap. Think about it. When you expose every step of your plan, you hand your competitors a roadmap. You become predictable, vulnerable, and worst of all, easy to outmaneuver. Machiavelli wouldn't just question this obsession with openness, he'd laugh at it. Because he knew, when you reveal everything, you hold nothing. Let's take this to the workplace. The employee who constantly announces their goals, struggles, and next moves might seem passionate. But to the wrong person, that's just useful data. Suddenly, your great idea shows up in someone else's presentation. Your vulnerabilities become office gossip. Transparency isn't always reciprocated, it's often exploited. Machiavelli warned against assuming good intentions. In a competitive environment, people are not always rooting for you. Many are watching for weakness, and transparency often hands it to them on a silver platter. Even in personal life, this applies. Oversharing with people who haven't earned your trust dilutes your power. It creates emotional debt. You start managing other people's reactions instead of focusing on your next move. Think of your vision like a seed. Share it too early and others may trample it, question it, or even steal it. But guard it, nurture it in silence, and it will grow into something they can't ignore or take credit for. So maybe it's time to stop asking, "How can I be more transparent?" and start asking, "Who really deserves to know what I'm building?" Real influence doesn't announce itself. It accumulates, quietly, patiently, strategically. Machiavelli understood that power is most effective when it's not obvious. Think of the people who truly shape outcomes in any environment. They're rarely the ones dominating the conversation. Instead, they listen, observe patterns, and move in subtle, decisive ways. Their silence isn't emptiness, it's calculation. They're playing a different game, not to be seen but to be obeyed. And when they speak, it's because they must, not because they need to. Now ask yourself, when was the last time you truly listened in a room full of talkers? Silence gives you information. It creates space for others to reveal themselves. You'll be amazed at what people say when they think you're not competing for attention. While others perform, you gather insight. While they react, you plan. Influence built in silence is like water shaping stone. It seems passive, but over time it changes everything. And by the time people realize what you've done, it's already too late to stop it. That's why restraint is power. You don't need to correct every misunderstanding or defend every idea. Sometimes the strongest position is simply not engaging. People project onto silence. They wonder what you know, what you're thinking, what you might do next. That mystery? That's influence. And once you learn to control it, you won't crave attention anymore. You'll crave results. But of course, this brings us to an uncomfortable truth. Not everyone around you wants you to be this powerful. Let's be honest, most of your threats won't come from your enemies. They'll come from the people pretending to cheer for you. Friends, coworkers, even family members. Not out of malice, necessarily, but out of envy, insecurity, or plain competition. And Machiavelli? He knew this too well. In his world, betrayal wasn't a possibility, it was a constant. That's why he warned leaders to keep their intentions hidden, even from those closest. Because the moment someone knows your strategy, they also know how to break it. Think of it like a game of poker. Would you ever show your hand before the round ends? Of course not. Yet in real life, people reveal everything without hesitation. They trust too quickly. They mistake smiles for loyalty. But loyalty is tested when your success grows, not when you're struggling. The colleague who listens kindly to your plan today might be pitching it to your boss tomorrow. The friend who hears your goals might silently start working toward the same thing, faster. Not everyone clapping is on your team. So here's the rule. Keep your moves to yourself until they're irreversible. Let your results do the talking and let your silence protect your momentum. The less people know, the less they can interfere. And that creates a vacuum, one filled with speculation, not sabotage. Those who move in silence don't just avoid betrayal, they become unpredictable. And in a world where everyone's trying to get ahead, being unreadable is a superpower. But here's the kicker. When you control what you don't say, you also control what others imagine. Here's the secret nobody tells you. When you say less, people fill in the blanks. And that's where the real power lies. Silence invites projection. Ambiguity makes people wonder. And when they wonder, they start building stories in their heads. Stories you control simply by not correcting them. Machiavelli sabia disso. The less you explain, the more they imagine. And in that imagination you become bigger, smarter, more capable, or more dangerous. The key is to stop chasing understanding and start embracing mystery. Think about the last time someone didn't respond the way you expected. You probably overanalyzed it, right? What did they mean by that? Are they upset? Are they planning something? That's the effect you want to create, not to manipulate but to position yourself outside of predictability. In a noisy world, the quiet figure draws attention without asking for it. People respect what they can't easily read. When you speak only when necessary, your words carry more weight, and the silence around them becomes part of your authority. This doesn't mean becoming cold or disconnected. It means being intentional. You don't owe anyone a constant stream of updates. Let them wonder why you're so focused. Let them question what you're working on behind the scenes. The best part? While they're distracted by their assumptions, you're moving forward. Quietly. Effectively. And now that you understand the power of withholding, it's time to ask yourself, how can this shift in mindset change your everyday life, starting today? So how do you actually use all this in your day-to-day life, without turning into some cold, calculating robot? Simple. Start with restraint. In your next meeting, resist the urge to share every idea you've got. Hold one back. Watch how the room reacts to your silence. You'll be surprised. What you don't say will often carry more weight than what you do. In your personal life, don't narrate every plan to everyone. Tell people what you've done, not what you're going to do. That one shift alone can flip your trajectory from predictable to powerful. Let's go further. When someone asks about your goals, practice answering without really answering. I've got a few things in the works, does more for your positioning than a full-blown TED Talk about your 5-year vision. What? Because you keep the upper hand. You choose when and what to reveal. And in relationships, whether romantic or professional, this approach commands respect. You're no longer the person who needs validation for every move. You become the person who moves without needing applause. Start small. Say less on social media. Listen more in conversations. Delay your responses when people demand immediate answers. Silence creates space, and in that space strategy breathes. The point isn't to become distant. It's to become deliberate. You don't need to hide. You need to lead yourself with discipline. And that's what separates noisemakers from true players. But if you really want to master this mindset, you'll need to go deeper. Because the world you live in, it's designed to keep you loud. If Machiavelli lived today, he wouldn't be writing letters to princes. He'd be analyzing your Instagram feed. In an era where oversharing is currency, silence becomes rebellion. You're told that to succeed you must be visible, loud, constantly present. But visibility without strategy is noise. And noise gets ignored. The modern prince doesn't announce his every move. He crafts his life like a campaign. He lets his results speak and his silence build tension. And that, in today's world, is revolutionary. We're living in a time where the pressure to share is relentless. Build in public. Document your journey. Be authentic. But most of that authenticity is performance. It's curated vulnerability. Machiavelli would call it a trap. Because while you're sharing, reacting, justifying, someone else is planning, executing, winning. And they're not broadcasting it. They're playing long-term games in a short-term world. You don't need to go offline. You just need to go quiet, strategically, purposefully, with intent. Here's the final truth. Your silence is not absence, it's presence in disguise. In the age of constant noise, what's rare becomes powerful. And silence? That's rare. That's gold. The modern prince doesn't seek approval. He seeks leverage. He knows when to speak and, more importantly, when not to. You don't need to shout your goals from the rooftops to prove they exist. You just need to achieve them, and let the world wonder how you did it. And now that you've seen behind the curtain, what will you choose not to say? Now that you know the cost of talking too much, ask yourself, how many wins have you delayed by needing to be understood? How many plans were weakened the moment you spoke them aloud? This isn't about paranoia. It's about power. The world doesn't need to know your next move. It needs to feel the impact when it happens. So start today. In your next conversation, hold something back. Let the silence breathe. Watch how it shifts the room. That's not hesitation, that's control. And if this hit a nerve, good. That means you're ready to stop playing loud and start playing smart. Subscribe to Timeless Advice if you're done with surface-level content. Leave a comment below. What did this video make you realize? Share your thoughts below, not your plans. Let's keep the conversation smart and the strategy quiet.